Hey, this is Mark, and I wanted to give you the daily news today. Today is, I think it's June the 10th. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's Friday. Today, the biggest news was the CPI did come in as I figured. I believe it was 8.6, which is the highest since 1981 inflation that we've seen, consumer price index. That is very bad for the current president of the United States. More important, what I think the administration has made a big mistake is they try to cut off at the pass. They knew that the CPI was going to be bad, so the Democrats planned on actually reporting about the January 6th insurrection, which really has no relevance anymore. We no longer have Trump as the president, and what we have is statements by the Democratic Congress, as well as the Wyoming Senator Cheney, which previously everyone hated her family, but now I guess they like them since she's talking against Trump, that the insurrection was promoted by Trump. Now, was it an insurrection? I don't think so. If it was an insurrection, I think the Capitol would have been taking over for sure. Again, as I mentioned yesterday, there really wasn't much damage done, and it was more like a protest with a couple of hooligans going a little bit too far. Remember, we did lose one American citizen that was in the protest. She was an Air Force person, and we also lost a person actually from the government who was a police officer who had a heart attack. Certainly the incident created that heart attack, and we feel very bad for his family, and we feel very bad for the Air Force person. But the strategy of the Democrats is dividing our country continuously. That did not play well after the CPI number came out. I think that the stock market is saying we have very poor leadership, and we are in a case of mass confusion at this point. I went ahead and bought some UVXY, which takes a look at the volatility in the markets, to try to just cover my butt a little bit, because I am expecting more volatility. I'm in an oil stock, as well as some high-risk biotechs, which, in fact, were not really hit that hard. So I think what we have to think about is, what does the stock market have to do with the economy? What does it have to do with the price of bread and milk and gasoline? And, what is leadership doing to make things better? Now, let's lead us to why we have inflation. We have inflation because the Federal Reserve did not manage the monetary policy properly, and they politicized it. The Federal Reserve got involved with saying that we should have more fairness in the economy, and that we should start using the Federal Reserve for climate change, as well as for trying to bring more justice, social justice. That's not what the Federal Reserve is for. The Federal Reserve is strictly for maintaining the monetary policy of the United States. Since they politicized the Federal Reserve, this is what happens. Things get seriously out of control. Enough on that. Let's move on to better news, or at least news not related to the United States in general. Russia is now executing any soldier that came to Ukraine to help out fight Russia. They are now killing people. If they were there, let's say an American went to Ukraine to fight against Russia. Instant execution. This is horrible. They're also executing journalists that might be there from the British government or from the United States government. This is horrendous what they're doing. And Russia must be fought against. Another big complaint I have with the current administration is we can't sit here and just send them weapons. We should be there. We are in the middle of Russia taking over and going beyond boundaries that were set in place. It is understood now that Russia does want to eliminate the statehood of Ukraine. This is a big problem because it moves the communist regime's border to the border of Poland, which has suffered historically through so many marches by people like Hitler and Stalin. They've just decimated Poland. Time to act is now, I believe, and many people are saying the same thing. That's another reason why the stock market is doing what it's doing, because there is a big worry that communism is moving forward. Now, let's talk about Latin America. Yesterday, there was a convention of the Americas, which was supposed to be all the Latin American countries as well as the Caribbean. The discussions did not go well. We had our president there, as I reported yesterday. We had a protester in Los Angeles that was there to protest. But what happened is the president got to the Americas convention and found that the presidents of these countries were not there. They sent their ministers, which kind of is a slap in the face to America, because those Latin American countries are just totally disrespecting our president. They're not taking him serious by sending a minister and not going themselves. Mexico in particular protested and did not even have a minister there. Why? Because America said that Venezuela, Cuba, and one other country were not to attend. They banned them from attending. And I'm sorry, I'm going from memory in my car. I intended to be in front of my computer. But it was Cuba, Venezuela. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? I can't remember. In another country. I apologize. But this is a contradiction. A few weeks back, when we were having our oil crisis and Biden is very concerned with the price of gasoline, Biden actually was thinking on going to Venezuela and trying to work with them. He backed off from that stance. And, we're just not looking good by being so wishy-washy. If you're going to ask a country for oil, but then expect them to go to get banned from a Latin America's convention, it just doesn't show a good position. Now, I can't blame President Biden himself. He has young people, supposedly strong academics in the White House, that are completely screwing up. Now, let's go back a year and a half ago, when the only thing we ever heard out of Washington media was how people were leaving and messing up the administration of Trump. Well, I don't think we need people to leave Biden's administration, but they are certainly messing up the administration by making things very confusing. So, how does this matter? How does this matter? Well, the fact of the matter is communism is spreading through Latin America and soon to be spreading through the Caribbean islands. And if that happens, if China and Russia convince these countries that they can help their impoverished people better than the United States can, this creates a huge, huge threat to the United States. Now, how does that matter? Well, it matters as the United States is forcing its gun holders to get rid of their more powerful weapons that people claim are just for hunting and not for fighting tyranny. Well, that could put us in a very bad spot. Now, I would say that the propaganda or the promotion of eliminating guns might be actually coming from China and Russia. And this influence is creating a situation that makes us feel like we're in a much more dangerous position because we won't be able to fight an enemy. This is very, very critical. Remember what I said. Russia and China are in South America, in Latin America, and in Caribbean islands. These are where our borders are, and convincing these people that they can help them more. Now, the Americas Convention is more about us trying to get these people to produce product that China was normally producing. Everybody knows that China and Russia are together on this. And for that matter, some of the shuts down in China may actually be theater, trying to convince us that they cannot produce the products to send to America, which is why the Apple stock is dropping. It's dropping because we may actually be getting spied on by Apple phones because they're manufactured in China. Now, this is the news that I want you to remember. It's not as it seems, ever. Because people don't show up at a Latin American convention doesn't mean that they couldn't make the trip. It means that there is big trouble brewing in Latin America. Today, the migration, most people migrating from Venezuela are going to the Caribbean island of Aruba. They're also migrating into Colombia. Well, if these countries cannot handle it, they are going to turn to people that can help them. Now, us just giving them money doesn't help. We need to start doing smart things. And here's one smart thing. People say that Newsweed.com is not about the marijuana trade. In fact, it is, somewhat. And here's why. Supposedly, America is all about climate change and, more efficiency and renewable energy. Then why? Why are we building massive buildings to grow marijuana in the United States, when in fact we should be importing it from countries like Colombia and Peru and other countries and Mexico, where narcotics have been grown for years? We must import from them. We must help them. We must bring the income of the addicted or the users of America to these Latin American countries. This is what we can do to try to stem the tide of communism flowing through Latin America. For that matter, the very ripe and rich areas of Latin America should be where we're importing more avocados and more produce from there. We need to stop communism. If we don't stop communism, everyone will suffer. And again, the movement of communism could mean an attack on America, and America without guns cannot protect its border. Thanks. I'm Mark from Newsweed.com. Remember, it's never as it seems. Thanks.